Imagine being 3 times richer than Jeff Bezos. Imagine running a company so powerful that the US government had to create new laws just to control it. This was not fiction. This was the life of John D. Rockefeller, the man who built Standard Oil, reshaped capitalism, and changed the way the world viewed wealth and power. But behind his empire of black gold lies a story of ruthless ambition, public outrage, and a surprising redemption that would rewrite his legacy forever. This is the story of the man who became the world's first billionaire and the most controversial philanthropist in history. John Davis Rockefeller was born in 1839 in a small town called Richford, New York. Nothing about his childhood suggested greatness. He wasn't born into privilege, he was born into chaos. His father, William Avery Rockefeller, was a con artist. He posed as a traveling doctor, selling fake miracle cures out of bottles. Rumors swirled that he even dabbled in horse stealing and fraud. He moved his family constantly, always chasing opportunity or running from consequences. But William did have one lasting influence on his son. He taught him how money worked, how to make it, how to save it, and most importantly, how to use it. By 1857, the Rockefeller family settled in Cleveland, Ohio, a growing city that would become the stage for John's empire. Young John was quiet, reserved, and deeply religious. He wasn't flashy, but he was calculating. He believed that hard work, discipline, and faith would lead him to success. The first step, from bookkeeper to businessman. At 16, Rockefeller dropped out of high school and took a job as an assistant bookkeeper, earning just 50 cents a day. It wasn't much, but John treated every cent like it mattered. He kept meticulous records, tracked every transaction, and learned the art of numbers. He once said, "Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great." By 1859, with his savings and a small loan from his father, he started his first business with a partner, Clark and Rockefeller, a commodities brokerage that traded in grains, meats, and soon after oil. That same year, oil was discovered in Pennsylvania, and America's energy revolution began. Rockefeller saw what others didn't. While many rushed to drill for oil, the real profits were in refining it. So in 1863, he and chemist Samuel Andrews opened a small refinery in Cleveland. 2 years later, he bought out his partner, showing the world his first glimpse of ruthlessness. Then he teamed up with a powerful investor, Stephen Harkness, and a man who would become his right hand, Henry Flagler. Together, they founded Standard Oil in 1870. Rockefeller had a vision not to compete, but to dominate. Rockefeller was obsessed with efficiency. He studied every detail of the refining process, cutting costs wherever possible. He reused byproducts that others threw away, invested heavily in research, and made sure no drop of oil went to waste. But efficiency alone wasn't enough. He wanted control. In the early 1870s, Rockefeller began a campaign that business historians still talk about today. In what became known as the Cleveland Massacre, he bought out, bankrupted, or absorbed 22 of his 26 competitors, all in just 3 months. His offer was simple: you can sell to me for a fair price, or I'll destroy you, and most took the deal. Through secret railroad rebates and shipping discounts, he slashed his costs far below anyone else's. Rivals couldn't compete. The result? By the late 1880s, Standard Oil controlled 90% of the U.S. refining industry. It was the world's first true monopoly. Public outrage and the fall of Standard Oil. But with great power came great resentment. Journalists began calling Rockefeller the octopus, a creature whose tentacles wrapped around every part of American business and government. He avoided the press, refused interviews, and built his empire in silence. That silence made him a mystery and an easy villain. In 1911, after years of public pressure and government investigation, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil had violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. The court ordered the breakup of the company into 34 separate entities, including what would later become Exxon, Chevron, and Mobil. It was the end of an era, but not the end of Rockefeller's fortune. Ironically, the breakup made him richer than ever. His shares in the new companies skyrocketed in value, making him the wealthiest person in modern history. By his mid-50s, Rockefeller's health was deteriorating. He suffered from stress, insomnia, and a condition called alopecia, which left him completely bald. Journalist Ida Tarbell, who had exposed many of Standard Oil's tactics, once described him as a living symbol of greed, pale, hairless, and joyless. But something changed in him. Maybe it was age. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the realization that he couldn't take his wealth with him. Whatever the reason, Rockefeller began a new mission to give away his fortune. In 1913, he founded the Rockefeller Foundation, one of the most influential philanthropic organizations in the world. Its focus was public health, education, and scientific research. He funded the creation of the University of Chicago, the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, and global programs that helped eradicate diseases like yellow fever and hookworm. His donations revolutionized modern medicine, public health, and education, not just in America, but worldwide. By the time of his death in 1937, Rockefeller had given away over $500 million, the equivalent of more than $10 billion today. Unlike most wealthy dynasties, the Rockefeller fortune didn't disappear after 3 generations. Why? Because John D. Rockefeller built more than wealth. He built a system. The family pioneered the idea of the family office, a private organization dedicated to managing investments, businesses, and philanthropic work for future generations. generations. They used irrevocable trusts, complex tax shelters, and a concept known as the waterfall strategy, transferring wealth through life insurance and long-term investments to minimize taxes indefinitely. Even today, the Rockefellers remain among America's richest families, with an estimated net worth exceeding $10 billion and influence stretching into politics, business, and global philanthropy. But Rockefeller's story also raises tough questions. Were his donations acts of redemption or strategy? Critics argue that his philanthropy was partly a way to rewrite his legacy, to shift the narrative from greedy monopolist to visionary benefactor. The Rockefeller Foundation's reach extended into global politics and foreign policy, influencing nations and shaping economies. It helped rebuild post-war Europe, funded agricultural revolutions, and supported international programs, but always with America's interests in mind. Some saw this as noble leadership. Others called it soft power. John D. Rockefeller remains one of history's most complex figures, a man who embodied both the darkest and brightest sides of capitalism. He built his empire on ruthless tactics, but used that same drive to fight disease, improve education, and change lives. He once said, "The secret of success is to do the common thing uncommonly well," and he did exactly that, for better or worse. Story reminds us that great ambition can build worlds, but it can also break them. Wealth, power, and legacy are never truly clean, but how we choose to use them defines who we are remembered as. No empire lasts forever, but ideas, efficiency, innovation, and philanthropy can outlive their creators. Rockefeller mastered the system and then reshaped it. The real question is, if you had that kind of power, what would you do with it?